Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Discussions. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about tonight's upcoming Monday Night Raw. Now, in yesterday's episode, I did say I was going to touch a little bit and go through each individual wrestler that will be participating in the tournament to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion. However, instead, what I'm going to do is I will be going through each independent wrestler that is going to be on tonight's Monday Night Raw part of the tournament, and then on next week or this Friday's SmackDown part of the tournament, and I will do that on Friday's episode for them. So, without further ado, let's get right into things, starting with the tournament. So, we will have two triple threat matches tonight, and in the main event, we will have a one-on-one match to decide one half or one member of who will be going forward in the one-on-one match at Clash of Champions. Now, of the 6 men listed for tonight's Monday Night Raw to compete in this tournament, that is half of the competitors in the tournament already. Those names are Seth Rollins, that was obvious enough, Cody Rhodes, Shinsuke Nakamura, Damian Priest, Miz, and Finn Balor. Now, one thing I noticed is it's very interesting to me to see 2 members of the Judgment Day, not just 1, 2, both get the opportunity to participate in this. Damian Priest coming off of a major upset from Bad Bunny, who beat him on Sunday night in the Saturday night in a San Juan street fight at Backlash. On top of that, we saw an impressive win out of that of Bad Bunny. So I can only assume that that's got to do something to the confidence of Damian Priest, as well as the fact that it was a street fight. There's no way he can be physically ready. Now, speaking of not being physically ready, I think the same can be said about Cody Rhodes, who was in a very grueling match himself with the Beast Brock Lesnar. Now, I think it's safe to say Brock Lesnar is the equivalent of a street fight in the sense that Cody Rhodes is probably just as scathed, if not more scathed, than Damian Priest. Now, Cody Rhodes did get the win over Brock Lesnar, so obviously he has a bunch of confidence going into this. But the real question is, confidence or no confidence, is he physically ready for this? Now, we saw the fact that Seth Rollins is going to be in here. That could mess with Cody Rhodes. Him and Cody Rhodes having a long rivaled history. They could face each other in a triple threat. They could be in their own separate triple threats and then fight each other in the main event. I don't know what order the triple threats are in. I just know that they could potentially fight each other in the main event, which is, I think it's what some people want, but I also think it's something that it would be nerve-wracking in the sense that you want Seth to win, but Cody's beat Seth 3 times in a row. You want Cody to win, but maybe it doesn't make as much sense because he's kind of coming for Roman Reigns at the same time. I don't necessarily know. Now, Miz is another wrestler in this. Now, the Miz, obviously, I kind of keep him in the category of Damian Priest. I actually read this on an article recently. Damian Priest and The Miz are 2 people that are least expected to be in this tournament of the other 6 mentioned for Monday Night Raw. In the sense that Damian Priest, obviously coming off of this loss, he's, very wounded and, all this and that. And The Miz has been treated like a joke for how long in the WWE, especially in the past year or so. So he really isn't world champion ranking at this point. I would have expected someone like Matt Riddle or Gunther, and I say that because obviously you have Austin Theory, the United States champion, in the tournament, so where's the Intercontinental champion? That's something to look out for. That's something to be like, well, wait a minute, why isn't he in the tournament? Now, we do also have Finn Balor, who is a member of the Judgment Day. He's more so considered one of the leaders of the Judgment Day. He has been someone who has been a very lethal competitor. He became the Demon at WrestleMania and fought fought Edge in a Hell in a Cell. His last one-on-one match was against Cody Rhodes about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's been dominant. He's been powerful. He could very well go into this tournament and go to the finals, him versus Seth. Not the finals, but the main event of Monday Night Raw, because a lot of people have also been calling on that. A lot of people have also been saying we want Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins in one-on-one action because those two, they have unfinished business from SummerSlam of 2016. And on top of that, you also have Shinsuke Nakamura, a guy who, well, to put quite simply, a guy who, when he made his return, had pretty much said, I'm coming for the world title. And a lot of people had assumed it's going to be Roman Reigns. And then, he had this thing with Karrion Kross, and now he's going over to Monday Night Raw, and he's in this new World Heavyweight Championship tournament, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would love to see Shinsuke Nakamura go somewhere with this. Now, in my personal opinion, this is only half of it. We are going to get a winner by the end of the night who's confirmed to go in Night of Champions. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Shinsuke Nakamura or Cody Rhodes or Finn Balor or Miz or even Damian. I'm simply trying to say that Seth Rollins is the guy right now. Seth Rollins has been hyping this up. Seth Rollins has been the one that has been proving himself. The only way Seth is not going to Night of Champions is if he gets screwed over by Roman Reigns. And if that happens, then I think it's safe to say that Roman Reigns' opponent at Night of Champions for the Undisputed Universal Championship will be Seth Rollins, which I feel as though won't do him any justice because Night of Champions isn't a big enough pay-per-view to make people really think that Seth could win. And so in my mind, it would make more sense for Seth to win tonight, go to Night of Champions, get screwed by Roman and then at SummerSlam, fight Roman Reigns on a bigger stage and in a bigger moment where it might make more sense for Seth to actually be considered someone who could beat Roman Reigns. Now, obviously, the Usos have been drafted to SmackDown. The Bloodline as a whole, besides the Usos, Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, Roman, they all got drafted to SmackDown separately from that of the Usos. But regardless, the Bloodline, every member of the Bloodline is on SmackDown. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they're on Monday Night Raw, which means there are no tag team titles on SmackDown. So that's something that people are going to have to look at and kind of think, well, how do we fix that? Where can we go from there? That sort of thing. On top of that, you have the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, who's on SmackDown, and the SmackDown Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley, who's on Raw. Now, I read somewhere that the idea of a title swap is kind of stupid to them. In my personal opinion, it is a little stupid, but at the same time, what else would you do? I don't want to see them, unify the belt or whatever, and there's not much else they can do. And so, just title swap. You know what I mean? Just title swap. I understand why you might not want to see it, but at the same time, I don't get the big deal. Just do it. Just suck it up and title swap. But nonetheless, we also need to determine who's going to fight Rhea Ripley next. We also need to determine who's going to fight Kevin and Sami next. We also need to determine what's going to go on here now with Matt Riddle and Kevin and Sami in general now that they lost to the Usos, lost to Solo. And that's really something for Riddle because at the end of the day, Kevin and Sami, they're still tag team champions, but Riddle doesn't have anybody right now. Riddle's in singles action. He has nothing to really go on from here. In my opinion, there's one guy that Riddle could potentially fight. He could go into an Intercontinental Championship match against Gunther, considering that he does have some unfinished business with Imperium back from when Imperium was still on NXT. And Matt Riddle helped out MSK in a six-man tag. And on top of that, Matt Riddle has been wanting the Intercontinental Championship since he came to the main roster, considering he did fight AJ Styles back in his first year on the main roster for the Intercontinental title and lost. So he has been vying for that belt. So he could potentially be next up for that. You also have Bronson Reed, who is on Monday Night Raw, who did not win at Backlash, who wants gold and is one of the only competitors right now on Monday Night Raw that seems to be in a great position to defeat Gunther. Now, you also have Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior. I'm not sure if he is scheduled for TV time right now. As far as I know, he might be on tonight, he might not be. And to top all that off, You also have Becky Lynch, who you don't know, is she coming back tonight? Is she not coming back tonight? I've heard rumors that she's set to come back tonight. However, nothing's been confirmed from what I know. On top of that, which I know I could just keep adding to my words, you have Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, who've also been drafted to Monday Night Raw. So they could potentially get into a rivalry with Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, and Ronda and Shayna could finally be women's champions. And I say that considering the fact that the women's champions right now are great, but they have a long rivalry right now with Ronda and Shayna, from the past. And on top of that, Ronda and Shayna, they won. They won the women's showcase, and they have nothing to showcase. They've gotten nothing after that. And so this could finally be their moment. Win the tag titles, move one step further. That's entertainment right there, if you ask me, because I think Shayna and Ronda need an extra push. They need to be more lethal. They need more TV time. They need more matches. They need more moments to prove themselves in that ring because they haven't been getting that for a little bit. Now, you also have currently on Monday Night Raw, you also have Omos. He just came off of a loss from Seth Rollins, but he also has nothing to go from there. You could put him in something with Bronson Reed. You could put him in something with Matt Riddle. I don't necessarily know where you want to put him, but you could certainly do something with him. On top of that, you have this idea of the Alpha Academy and the maximum male models, and so they are right now still, as far as I know, in this storyline of what's going to go on with the Alpha Academy, what's going to go on with Chad and Otis. Now, personally, I love the idea of Chad Gable and Otis working together as a tag team. However, it does seem as though their inevitable breakup is going to be happening sooner rather than later. Now, we also have free agents such as Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali. They've been frequent on Monday Night Raw as opposed to SmackDown, so we could see them tonight. We could see Mustafa Ali try and challenge Gunther later down the line. We could see Dolph Ziggler try and challenge Gunther later on down the line. I don't necessarily know where WWE wants to go right now. But what I do know is that this tournament right now tonight is going to be their big thing. 2 triple threat matches and then a one-on-one main event. Those 2 triple threat matches are going to be huge, first off. But that main event's going to be even bigger because we could see something like Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor, Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, or better yet, we could even see guys like Shinsuke versus Cody, Shinsuke versus Finn, Finn versus Cody, Cody versus Damian versus Shinsuke, Shinsuke versus The Miz, Miz versus Miz versus Cody, Miz versus Seth. At this point, half the matches I just mentioned are matches that we've already seen. But regardless, those are all matches that could potentially happen at this point. Personally, again, I think Seth is the guy that's going to walk away from this. I think Seth is the whitest hot he's ever been. It has to be him. It just has to be. Nonetheless, though, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. That's going to conclude today's episode. I am sorry for such a short one. I was running behind today with some things and unfortunately had to cut this video a little short. But again, as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.